Alright, today I'm just doing a very short video to show you where some of the locations in the map on the forums provided by Wereplant are for the crystals that load on Frozen Mogo. This is for the 500 Gray Crystal speed. We're kind of starting at one end of the route. I'm going to walk you through this end of the route, then we're going to go through the route on the south side. I'm just going to kind of fly around to the general locations. If the crystals aren't there, we're not going to wait for them to load. That's your job, not my job. I'm just showing what it looks like from a different perspective. So here we go. That's one. Now up here on the plateau, this is near the Blue Lantern loading area. There are a few different load locations. This is going to be the one that is probably the... Well, that doesn't look like that's actually arranged correctly compared to how the rest of the area looks, but that's fine. Anyway, don't worry too much about that either. The crystals themselves are around the edge of this area, so you basically just want to fly around the edge. Bop, crystal. There's one that is kind of in one of the more centrally located spots, and we'll show you where that's at here in a moment. But the idea is just fly around the edge, look for those crystal growths. Give it one more. Oh, there's one. Boom. Bop him. Boom. Crystal growth. One's kind of away from the edge. You'll be able to see it when you see it, is really the important part of the conversation. It's not going to be hard for you to locate it, but the idea is fly around, bonk the crystals. That's what you need to do up here after you've made a nice once over, because they're not going to load very fast. They're not going to load fast enough for them to come back while you're up here. I would say do 2 laps just to make sure that you've got them all, and then time to move on to the next area. So the next area that we're going to go to is going to be down yonder. And down yonder is a polite euphemism for at the bottom of the cliff down there. I'm not sure that any load around the little Blue Lantern Outpost up here. It does look like there's at least one over here, so as you're flying by, or speedstering by, or heaven forbid skimming by,
I met a Durlan farmer today.
make sure you check this area as well. Again, same principle, just give it a nice quick once around. Oh, there's another one. Boom.
I agree.
And you can get down to the base of the mountain using that little teleporter there that says to base of mountain, or you can do it the fun way, for the fun way, but that's why I built a flying character in the first place. I'm interested in seeing the sights. Also, objectively speaking, there's nothing wrong with being able to position yourself advantageously during combat to keep yourself from getting bushwhacked by things that can kill you. So, after we're completed up there, we just kind of want to go down to the base of the mountain here. We're at the base of the mountain, and this is going to bring us out near the Red Lantern Matron's Orphanage. Now, this is not a fun place to be. It's basically an internment camp for kids, which is something that we have a lot of experience right now with dealing with due to this content. You're going to be in and out of here all the time, doing the alert. The alert's pretty easy to accomplish. You can do the alert by yourself in about 10 minutes, so if you're not feeling like running it as a group or anything like that, very easy stuff. But then you're going to come back in here to the switchbacks, and this is where we're going to get kind of into the area of the map where it's a little convoluted, but there's also a lot of crystals here. This is probably the area where you're going to find the most crystals located in relationship to anything else, and these in this area tend to load pretty fast, but make sure you check all of the cul-de-sacs here inside of this area, because that's where the multiple crystals spawn at. That's going to be your greatest yield per lap, essentially. Like, some of these have spots where 3 or 4 crystals will load at the same time, you know, which is awesome, because this is not a feat you want to spend the rest of your life doing. I'm still collecting exabytes right now. That's a feat that I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing. Well, I shouldn't say that. I've only got about like 400 left. Then I'll be done with those. 99 bottles is the feat that I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing, because I can only do about 4 at a time before I'm like, this is soul crushing. And then I go do something else. So, such is life. But, yep, we're just flying through the switchbacks here, and you want to stick mostly to the major paths, just because the major paths also contain some as well, though if you are feeling like making this take you a little less time, feel free to just go directly to the cul-de-sacs. They're all pretty easily located in relationship to the majority of the map itself. Because again, you know, that's not the only place the crystals load inside of the switchbacks here, but it is the place where the most load, like per capita, the most you will get is in those spots. There's not any, like the crystals out here in the main area, they're not going to be like 4 of them in the same place or anything like that. But the other thing is, the Red Lanterns will come to visit you while you're doing this. They show up out of nowhere constantly, and that's how they roll. So, and then finally, we're out of the switchbacks and down into the main playing field. Now, here is where you're going to have a couple of different options as to how you run your route. I like to take the first and most immediate left at the bottom of the switchbacks and go over here towards John. There's 1 crystal, 2 crystal. There's a couple more. Bop. Bop. And there's also a couple of exabytes over here if you want to go ahead and switch over to crypto while you're doing this, just to get yourself some extra exos. It's not as profitable as a Metropolis route, but low-hanging fruit's low-hanging fruit, and collections are collections if you're still working on the Tragic the Gathering feat. So, but yeah, after you're done with this area, just take one final look around just to see if any more have loaded in the meantime. Boom, boom, boom. Doesn't look like they have. Alright. Now we're going to go into the valley. The valley of the shadow of Red Lanterns. Not really the same thing as the shadow of death. I'm pretty sure these guys are all about that raging against the dying of the light thing, but that's a lot of classic literature and religious references in the same spot, so I'm going to let you unpack that on your own time. But yeah, so at the bottom of the switchbacks, you've got the Red Lantern camp. The camp has a few crystal loads sitting outside of it. Come over here to the teleporter area. There's also 1 or 2 crystal spawn locations hiding over here. Not very many on this end, but it's usually fairly consistently loaded. There we go. That's the one we're looking for. Bop. And then afterwards, you can fly down and around or up and over. I like to go back up and over just to keep things kind of loading in the same sequence. I want to give things a chance to repop as a group while I'm doing this. Now, this is the area that you want to be kind of careful, because right over there is our little buddy Vice, and if you wander through his little playpen and you're not meaning to wander through his playpen, he's going to give you a hug with his face, and that's just not good for your health. It's not good for anybody's long-term plans, career aspirations, goals, or things as simple as not having your clothes reek of copper and look like you got in a fight with a fire hose full of blood. If you're going for the carry post-prom look, though, there you go. That's the way to accomplish that one. Now we're down at the bottom of the hill. As you can see, there was a couple of crystals down here on the Lowlands Red Lantern Internment Camp. I don't think there's really any spawns that load between this and the teleporters, so at that point, conversation is basically done with the top end. Now, I like to go through the big rock because I don't really have a preference, if I'm being honest with you. I'm just trying to make it sound like there's a reason for doing that. There's really not. Go where you want. I do it again because I'm playing a flyer and I like flying. I like to see what's going on. Okay, and now we're getting down to what is essentially the bottom end of our path. And this is where Wereplant's guide recommends that you switch over to a different phase and then go back up. And I'm not going to tell you not to do that. I'm not going to do that in this situation because I'm in the PvP phase, because I like to be left alone. But, as you can see, down in here, after you're away from the Green Lantern Outpost where Guy and Carol live, you want to come into this murky cavern full of refugees and fog and snowy stuff. And some more of those wandering sorrow constructs there if you're still working on any of the stuff that requires them. But yeah, just bop. Get you some crystals. There's quite a few in this area, but they're not necessarily centrally or edge located. They're more of just peppered liberally throughout, I think is the nicest way of putting it. So it is a good idea just to maintain a little bit of verticality to see what's going on with this, or if you are running, skimming or not skimming. Skimming is technically flying. It's just I'm not going to bitch about skimming. I'm really not. I'm glad that there's at least one alternative movement, even if it is goofy. But yeah, we're not going to complain about it. Anyway, so that is the canyon full of ice pillars down there, and then we're back at the Green Lantern camp. And yeah, you just kind of want to lather, rinse, repeat from that point forward. I know Wereplant's route had about 48 locations on it, and I think that's probably fairly consistent if you can run into a situation where they all load at the same time. If you can't, you can't. That's fine too. But just a second visual aid to show you where some of them are located at in relationship to the game going on around you. I'm going to go ahead and post this on my channel, and I'm going to post it in his thread on the forum as well. That way there is that secondary visual reference. Stay safe. Have a good night.